After 5 millennia, the stones themselves still whisper secrets no living soul should know. In the silent corridors, beneath the desert sands, lies a scroll that names a king no history dares record. What if everything we believe about the pharaohs is only a fragment of a darker truth? Tonight, the past will reveal its hidden face. Long before the Nile carved its life through the sands, before the first village sprouted by the riverbank, the land lay silent under a blazing sun. In that vast silence, a dream was planted in the heart of one man to bind eternity into stone. That man would become the first in a line of rulers who dared to call themselves gods, though they were flesh. I invite you now to journey with me back through 5,000 years, through sunlit deserts, whispers in royal courts, hidden chambers, and voices that time tried to swallow. Tonight's story is not just of pyramids and kings, but of what lies beyond the public facade of secrets built into foundations. We begin at a time when the world was young and ambition already reached beyond the horizon. He was called Nefer, though in later memory his name would blur. Nefer was neither noble blood nor warrior prince. He came from a humble family of riverbank farmers. Yet he carried in his eyes a flame. While others accepted the world as it was, he looked and saw what it could become. As a youth, he watched caravans crossing the desert, laden with precious stones. He heard of distant lands, cradles of civilization to the south and east. He wondered, how could his homeland, rich in soil and Nile's gift, be left waiting? He walked nightly among stones and clay, touching weathered fragments left by unknown hands, feeling the pulse of possibility. One night, a vision struck. In a dream, a voice told him, "Bury your fear beneath the scarlet twilight, and raise stones that will outlast the desert winds." He awoke with trembling fingers and began to sketch lines in the dust, straight lines, grand angles, the first faint blueprint of what would become more than a tomb. Nefer gathered craftsmen and dreamers, masons, stonecutters, scribes. Some laughed. What task was this but a folly? But to those who stayed, he whispered possibility. He told them, "We will bind together spirit and stone, above and below, that this land may remember its children forever." They quarried limestone, shaped sandstone, carried blocks along wooden sleds and river barges. They learned geometry anew, angles, plumb lines, right triangles, in a language no one yet wrote. At night, under lantern light, the scribes recorded each stone's dimensions, its intended place. They carved trial reliefs, tested proportions. The desert wind sifted fine dust over these efforts. The work was exhausting. Faith twice, stones cracked, support beams failed. Crews grew discouraged. Nefer walked among them in darkness, placing his hand on weary shoulders, telling them each crack is a clue, each failure a teacher. Slowly, the outline rose a stepped platform first, then terraces of stone. The people watched in wonder at night, the silhouette against stars. As the structure grew, so did the unrest. Some nobles saw in Nefer's ambition a threat. They whispered that a common man should not claim divine status. They questioned his lineage. They plotted in quiet corridors where oil lamps flickered. One evening, a messenger arrived at Nefer's camp, blood on his tunic, eyes wild. He bore a sealed scroll. "Abandon this folly, or your hands will be stained with betrayal." Nefer broke the seal. The message: you build tombs of arrogance. The gods will not suffer your pride. Cease, or we act. Nefer stared at the words, then crumpled them in dust. To his team, he said, the storm always arrives. Prepare yourself. That night, under a black sky, Nefer climbed the half-built terraces. He gazed over the desert. In his chest, a fierce pulse, ambition, fear, resolve. He whispered to the emptiness, let them come. At dawn, the nobles sent men, armed, masked, to sabotage. They scaled the terraces in darkness, undermined supports, loosened stones. At first light, collapse began. Sections cracked, slabs shifted, dust exploded. Shouts rose. The builders rushed in. Nefer, seeing the disaster, ran up ladders, heaved stray stones aside, gave orders to reinforce. He faced the masked saboteurs. A scuffle broke out. One struck him across the cheek. Blood trickled, yet the structure held. The noble's men retreated into dawn's haze. The damage was grave, but not fatal. Under Nefer's direction, the crew labored through the day to stabilize. That night, with bruised face and aching limbs, Nefer addressed them. Tomorrow, the world will see we are not fragile. The stones may crack, we will repair, the dream continues. So the monument rose, not from perfect calm, but from conflict, sweat, and clandestine antagonism. Years passed. Nefer's tomb, the earliest version, stood as a platform, not a final design. He had achieved something, a symbol. But he also understood that the real kingdom lay not only in stone, but in influence. He sent emissaries to distant cities, forging alliances. He invited travelers, scholars, priests, to bring their knowledge, mathematics, astronomy, ritual. In the evenings, they debated under stars. They discovered constellations, aligned the structure with solstices. They added chambers, hidden corridors, shafts, not all intended for daylight, some for spirit, some for secrets. Nefer's prestige grew. He crowned himself Pharaoh, first of his line, and declared that henceforth every ruler in this land must build not just for death, but for eternity. Yet with prestige came envy. The nobles, though appeased for a time, never forgot the origin of his rise. In shadows, plots resumed. Nefer's queen Meraya was no silent consort. She was intelligent, politically savvy, and spoke in court with quiet power. The nobles whispered her ambition was equal to his. One night, she visited the hidden corridors, examining shafts built into the tomb. She found a sealed chamber with no record. On its door, glyphs foretold of a name lost, yet tied to the throne. Meraya confronted Nefer. Why hide this? What name do you fear? She demanded. Nefer averted his eyes. Some truths are too dangerous to reveal now. Meraya's suspicion blossomed. She resolved to uncover this name to secure her son's legacy. So she recruited trusted scribes in secrecy, whispering of genealogies lost, alternate lines extinguished. In palace halls, conspirators stretched their nets. Meraya's inner circle watched the nobles with new eyes. Meanwhile, a man named Sarek, a royal scribe in his 20s, discovered in old temple archives mentions of a king named Khemu, erased in later records. His scrolls suggested Khemu claimed the right to Pharaoh before Nefer's rise, then vanished. Sarek took the fragments to Meraya. They pieced together a name, a lineage. hints that Nefer's claim might rest upon suppression. Meraya's heart pounded. If this were true, their dynasty's legitimacy hung on a hidden weight. She deliberated. Reveal or conceal? If revealed, the nobles might act. If concealed, the secret could become a weapon against them. She chose to keep it for now. But in the darkness of the archives, a watcher listened. A rival scribe sent word to the nobles. Meraya pursues forbidden knowledge. The net tightened. One evening, under moonlight, masked nobles infiltrated the palace archives. They stole the scrolls. Sarek and Meraya had assembled and left behind charred remnants. Meraya discovered the theft at dawn. She knew the noble's message, do not pry. She wrapped the losses in silence. No alarm, no open fury, only resolution burning in her eyes. She whispered to Sarek, "We rebuild. I will summon allies in distant lands who care little for court rivalries. We will gather proof so heavy that no whisper can dismiss it." The nobles, for now, believed they had succeeded, but their victory was unease, not control. In the years that followed, Nefer's tomb became a focal point of pilgrimage, reverence, fear. Priests told that Pharaoh Nefer was chosen by the sun itself. They obscured origins and emphasized divinity. Meraya oversaw the expansion of hidden chambers, vaults, crypts, some sealed, some left blank for secrets. She protected her children, teaching them silence. And Sarek continued his quiet search, acquiring fragments, trading with distant scribes. He believed someday he would unearth the full truth. But for now, the shadows held their secrets, and the stones stood impressive, defiant, whispering of lost names. Generations passed, Nefer and Meraya's children ruled, and the dynasty grew. But their legitimacy was carefully managed. Genealogies sanitized, Khemu's name erased from public memory. The tomb complex expanded beneath, corridors branching like roots. Some chambers were used, many left untouched. Scribes added new glyphs. Priests recast legends about the founding. Travelers from afar spoke. The pharaoh's lineage begins with the sun. Yet, in quiet corners, scribes whispered alternate names. In one new generation, a young prince named Amun set his mind on more than rulership. He sought the chambers, beneath the chambers, the hidden veins of memory. He secretly met Sarek's descendant, a girl named Irith, whose scribal talent inherited that old urge to peel back the veil. Prince Amun confided, "If I rule on a lie, our reign is hollow." Irith nodded, though fear trembled in her eyes. They decided to explore one of the sealed chambers, the one Meraya once discovered. They located the hidden door, pushed a side stone, and entered into darkness. Inside, a dust layer, undisturbed for centuries. Glyphs of a name, Khemu, etched faintly. They lit lamps, traced the glyphs. Words followed. He who stood first vanished at dawn. They found skeletal remains in a niche, incomplete skeleton, fragmented bones, a simple crown. Amun's breath caught, Irith whispered. He was real. They knew they held a revelation that could explode the history taught to all. They carried small samples, sketches, planning a moment to expose this truth. But they did not realize they were watched. That night, palace guards in silence entered Amun's quarters. They seized the sketches and samples. Amun woke to empty scroll cases and flickering candles. A subtle threat, do not pursue what was sealed. Irith was removed, confined to the palace library under guard. Amen confronted the nobles. You silence truth out of fear, not wisdom. They answered with silence. In his heart, Amun felt the weight of the past press upon the present. The dynasty's foundations trembled. He visited the priests, seeking counsel. They reminded him of tradition, of stability, of the perils of revealing lineage. They urged caution. Amen resolved. For now, he would hide his knowledge, but he would plant seeds, tell trusted scribes, foreign travelers. Let the world see eventually. Irith, confined, continued work secretly. At night, she coded hidden glyphs of Khemu into other tomb walls, disguised in new dedications. She encoded genealogies into patterns. She also sent whispers beyond the border to distant lands, traders, scholars, fragments of story. Some risked censorship, others preserved quietly. Meanwhile, Amen outwardly maintained tradition. The royal cult, the temples, the rituals continued. The public believed the dynasty's story. But within the inner circle, an undercurrent moved. Some priests, a few nobles, spoke quietly of the first king erased. Skepticism spread. They plotted a future revelation, but none dared yet strike. Then came famine. The Nile's flood failed 1 year. Crops wilted. The people murmured, "Has the divine blood failed?" The priests blamed neglect of tradition. Some nobles blamed misrule. Amen faced unrest. He sought to restore faith. In that climate, he decided, reveal a portion. At the festival of the new year, he stood before the people and said, "Our dynasty is not ancient only in years, but in memory. Our roots reach deeper than memory shown." He unveiled a cryptic glyph referencing Khemu, leaving the rest unsaid. Gasps rose among the crowd. Some applauded the mystery, others whispered of blasphemy. The seed had been planted. In that moment, the veil lifted slightly. The dynasty, long built on selective memory, trembled. After the unveiling, turmoil followed. Priests debated. Nobles plotted. Some threatened Amen. You challenge memory. You undo order. Irith was released, but watched. She and Amen began preparing the full revelation. Bones, names, archives. They planned to open the sealed chamber to public view. Messages came from border states. We knew there was more. Some foreign scribes offered support, sending ancient fragments that matched Khemu's line. But a faction in court moved. Destroy evidence, preserve the throne. A crucial night approached. On the planned night, masked assassins attacked the chamber beneath the tomb. They sought to destroy the bones, the archive. They broke locks, spilled ink, shattered jars. Amun and Irith, expecting risk, arrived. They confronted the intruders. A fierce battle in the subterranean corridors. Stone columns, narrow passageways, torchlight and shouting. One masked figure lunged at Irith. Amun intervened, struck. The attackers retreated, but not before setting fire to scrolls. Smoke filled the chamber. The bones, thankfully, survived, but much was lost. In the aftermath, Amun addressed the court. The truth was attempted to be erased, but the bones remain. The name Khemu lives. He revealed the skeletal remains, the glyphs, the fragments. Shock rippled through nobility and priests. Some denied, some embraced. A great debate ensued. Legitimacy based on memory, or legitimacy based on truth. The people watched. Some cried betrayal, Others demanded justice. A civil shift began. In that moment, the dynasty faced its greatest test: hold by force or transform by truth. Meraya, aged, came forward. With dignity, she spoke. I stood beside Nefer. I believed in legacy. But truth outlives legacy. Let memory be cleansed, she cried. Let the reign begin anew, grounded in what was hidden rather than what was convenient. Some nobles bowed in submission, some withdrew. The priests counseled compromise, preserve ritual, but restore the erased line. The people cheered. A new era dawned, not built on suppression, but on acknowledgement. Amen pledged to build a new crypt, open to all, where names are not hidden, where history is shared. Irith, at his side, was named chief scribe of memory. Together, they began rewriting histories. And so the dynasty persisted, not as a monument to perfect origins, but as a testament to remembered truth. The tomb complex evolved. One chamber opened to the public, where visitors could see Khemu's name, see the bones, see the glyphs hidden for ages. Pilgrims came. Scribes wrote new chronicles. Poets composed odes to the lost king and to the revelation. The whispering stones now spoke in fuller voice. The people learned history is not static, but alive, shaped by what we choose to remember or conceal. And tonight, I tell you this: in every great civilization, there lies a silence, a hidden name, a lost memory. If we dare, we may unearth it.